Good evening and welcome out everyone to tonight's tackle trading onboarding webinar. This is Coach Frank. I'll be taking you through the tackle trading website, showing you around a little bit, see if I can say that, letting you know what we're doing, when we're doing it, where you can find it, hopefully helping you get a better idea of how you can use the different things that we've got going on over here, or if you're just checking us out or joining us for the first time, getting a better idea of what it is that we have to offer. So we will dive right into it very quickly before we kind of work through tackle trading. I would just like to highlight two different podcasts. Number one is going to be the Trading Justice podcast. You can find it at tradingjustice.com. This link right now, I'm here in the Trade Center. That's where you'll find this link to Trading Justice, but it is just tradingjustice.com. Each week, Matt, Mark, and Tim put out the Trading Justice podcast. A lot of fun. It's very informative. It's definitely worth a listen to, in my opinion. You can find it directly over at tradingjustice.com, which is where I listen to it. But if you are a little more technologically advanced than me, which probably you are, you can catch it on all of your major podcast providers as well. There's also a really nice monthly newsletter that you can find over at Trading Justice as well. Certainly worth visiting our friends over there. There's also our daily Huddle podcast, and you can find that up here at the top of any tackle trading page. This will just bring you to the Huddle podcast. You can listen to it here. You can listen to it on your favorite podcast providers, but it's just the top stories, quick and easy. Each day, the top things move in the market. Very nice addition to a daily routine, especially if you're like me and I like to look at charts and prep trades and things like that. I don't really like to, bounce around a whole bunch of news sources, but to each their own. That is the Huddle. That is each day, the Trading Justice podcast each week. With all that said, let's dive right into it. And when I'm explaining tackle trading to people, I do like to break it into three parts. The things that you can do on your own, that'll be courses, blogs, some tools, things like that, right? Then things you can do with others, basically the schedule. What are we doing on Mondays and Tuesdays and Wednesdays and Thursdays, right? As a community here. And lastly, our weekend reports. Each week we put together, at the end of the week, we put together some reports in the broad market, in our newsletter, for the stock market, for the options traders out there, commodity traders and currency traders. So we'll kind of take that approach to it. We'll just tackle it one grouping at a time, if you will. Let's kind of start with the first one, things that you can do on your own. And I don't know about you, but for me, courses are probably the first thing that comes to my mind. We do have several courses available to all of our pro members. We have our 7-step guide to trading. This course, I kind of think it introduces you to kind of the tackle trading way of approaching the markets. You get two traders in a room, they're never going to agree on everything, right? That's what's so cool about trading, is we can get it to fit us, right? Not the other way around. But I do think, overall as a whole, we kind of share a philosophy about trading as a community here at Tackle Trading, from starting at the top of the market, matching the strategy to our read of the situation from, both a broad market, a sector, a trade setup, perspective. We're big watch list traders. So how do we find and get these things into our watch list so we're ready to take action if we get the signals we're looking for? Of course, that kind of goes into the planning side of it as well. Placing it, of course, managing trades is for a lot of traders, certainly a challenge, right? So we need to learn how to do that. And of course, journaling the trade. So this course really will, if you're a brand new trader, it will probably be really helpful in getting you a little bit of a routine, which is so very important. If you're a veteran trader, the importance of a routine. I imagine you're not going to abruptly change your routine, nor would I expect you to, but maybe you can get a couple of ideas in here as well. I think whether you're a newer trader or a grizzled veteran, I think there's probably a little bit to glean out of that 7-step guide to trading. We have a technical analysis course. As traders, charting's kind of a big deal, right? That's, and that's true no matter what kind of a trader you are. You might be a day trader, might be a swing trader, might be a cash flow trader, might be a crypto trader. Whatever kind of trader you are, the more comfortable and confident you are in your skills at technical analysis, I think the easier your life is going to be. As the name would probably suggest, it's just going to be charts, and technical analysis, right? Our Options 101 course is going to really focus on what happens when you buy or sell that option contract? What are the factors that are moving it, that are determining its price? It's not going to be a whole bunch of different strategies. It's going to really be focused on the options themselves and why they do the things that they do. The more you truly understand the nature of the option contract, at least in my opinion, the more comfortable you're going to be as you're dealing with whatever option strategy that you might be looking to trade. So I'll show you where you can find the strategies here in a couple of minutes, but the options course itself, if you are newer to options, I would strongly encourage you to take some time to go through it. We really do need to know those contracts. I think it makes those strategies so much easier to deal with. If you've ever been interested in learning more about the futures or the currency markets over in Forex, we have introduction courses for those markets as well. I know I've talked to a lot of people over the years that just felt like futures and or Forex were just too advanced, too big, I don't know, for them. And that's not true. If you don't want to trade futures, that's fine with me. I don't, it's, if you love Forex, great. If you don't, no big deal, right? We can trade what we want to trade, but I never want anybody to feel like they can't trade, Forex because it's too big for them or anything like that. So if you've ever been interested in learning a little bit more about these markets, it can be a great place to start to have a better understanding of what really is going on over there. No matter where we're trading, what market, what products, we do need to have clearly defined systems and rules governing our actions, right? And I think pretty much every trader agrees with that at face value. It's one thing to say it, another thing to do it, though, right? Our system development course is really designed to help you train yourself to think and approach your trading from a systematic point of view. It will change your trading life once you truly embrace having clarity of systems and systems design, no matter what you're trading, and really no matter what your experience level is. I would encourage you to take some time to work through that system development course. I think there is a lot to learn no matter who you are and where you are in your trading journey. We do have a handful of premium systems as well, and that's what you're seeing here in the Tackle 25, which is a covered call-based system on a select group of stocks that we put together each year with kind of the idea of selling covered calls against them, right? Cash flowing them throughout the course of the year. Our STEP system is our swing trading approach to swing trading, just stands for stop loss, target, entry, and position size. Our cash flow condors is another cash flow system, this time selling credit spreads on the Russell 2000. And the bear market survival guide is kind of what it sounds like, kind of protecting ourselves from bearish turns in the market, and then dealing with those turns once we do get into them. These are all kind of one-time purchases. The system is yours for life. Once a month, we'll get together with members of that team in a mastermind group. If you'd like any more information on any of those, don't hesitate to hop over into the store. Don't hesitate to send us an email to team@Tackle Trading. We'll be happy to get you a little bit more information on any of those. We also do regular blog content. Not everything has to be an hour-long webinar or a course that you're working through. So whether it's more charting in Tales as a Technician, more options in the option theory, taking concepts kind of from the ground up and running with them with Coach Greg over in the Rookie Corner, hearing from our awesome female traders in the Women in Trading blog. These are going to be relatively short reads. I mean, you're probably, everybody maybe reads at their own speed, but I imagine probably 5-ish minutes is probably what you're looking at. Nothing too crazy, but can be great ways to share ideas, to answer questions, to go a little more in depth on things. Definitely worth incorporating into that weekly routine in my mind. We do have a daily email. That is the Tackle Today email. If you would like it, you can just go into the Tackle Today and you can easily sign up for the daily email in there. You can also read the daily email directly in the Tackle Today here as well. It will be delivered faster to your inbox than it will be posted on the site. But if for whatever reason you do prefer to read it here, it is available as well. Over in the Trade Center, we're going to find a few different things. If we go directly into the Trade Center itself, This will bring us kind of to a what's up at Tackle trading page with a few different tools for us. So kind of let you know what's our next show, most recent post, most recent tweet, a little watch list that you can build out for yourself, either a live showing or a replay of one of our YouTube webinars, kind of a little mini calendar for what's on the, what's on deck in the very near future, next couple of days or so. If you're taking any courses where you might have left off, so you can pick right back up and instead of dig around where exactly did I leave off on this thing. That's where we found our link to our friends over at Trading Justice. There is a link to the market Skyline, and this is just going to take you to a page that just kind of has everything in one place from a charting point of view, all the big stuff, I should say. So our index futures, right, for the S&P, the Dow, the RUT, the NASDAQ, got Bitcoin in there, the emerging markets ETFs, the major commodities, gold, silver, copper, crude, etc., as well as the sector spider ETFs. So these are important things. I think most traders would agree to be looking at, on a regular basis. This is just to get them all in one easy location. You probably have them built into your trading software already, or maybe not. Maybe are still building that out. Just nice to have it all in one place, right? So I can just quickly browse through, see if anything stands out, anything catches my attention within a particular area of the market to kind of lead me into some potential trade ideas. There's also a link to the FinViz heat map in here. This will just take you to finviz.com and their S&P 500 heat map. So you can just get that visual. Hey, what did the day look like? What areas were up? What areas were down? Does anything stand out? I mean, we were pretty green in the market today, right? But don't tell that to utilities. Don't tell that to the real estate. So some of the more defensive oriented areas were some of the weak performers today, whereas pretty much everything else was kind of in the green. Now maybe that's just the way it was today, right? But maybe I can take a closer look and generate some trade ideas. There is some customization in here. It's defaulted to the S&P 500 for today, but you can look at the world or ETFs. You can change from a 1 day to a weekly, a monthly, a quarterly, a yearly performance, certain fundamental ratios, etc. So there is a little bit of customization there in that FinViz heat map. So again, that's just this guy right here. There's going to be a news aggregator in here that's just going to go through several of the bigger financial websites. You're going to see MarketWatch pretty regularly, CNBC, Wall Street Journal, The Times, and just kind of aggregate these headlines for us, so I can easily kind of scroll through, see if anything catches my attention. Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to go read it. It's just really designed to save us a bunch of bounces around, not have to go to a whole bunch of different websites and bounce back and forth and back and forth. So just an easy way to process the news. There's a link to the economic calendar in here, so we can know what's on the economic front for the day or for the week that might impact our trading. Another link to our market reports, which we'll circle back to towards the end. A compounding gains calculator, a link to a chart if you ever need one, our trading glossary, our search function. You can also find our search function up here, it's a little magnifying glass, and you can find the trading glossary also in the drop down of the Trade Center. There's also a link to the trade journals in here. And again, you can find a link to the trade journals in the drop down of the Trade Center as well. I've always preferred to come into it from the Trade Center myself, and that's mostly because it will start with the tutorial video and kind of walk you through how to use the journal. That may or may not be helpful for you, but I know for a lot of us, spreadsheets aren't our first language. So I speak from experience there. We have 3 different trade journals. Most notably, I want to talk about the trade journal. That's going to be where we can, hey, what did we do? When did we do it? Right. So we can collect data. If you're not journaling your trades already, I would definitely encourage you to start doing so. Each and every trade that you make is data if you record it and let it be. That's going to allow us to make targeted changes based off of what we're individually seeing. You don't care in the sense that it doesn't matter to you, right? Have what my personal problem. I'm too, might be too tight on a stop loss on my breakout trades, right? I'm sure you wish me the best, but if you are, you need to be able to identify it so you know what to change, right? So you're going to find a trade journal. Our theta research tool is where we can build out and compare different cash flow strategies, covered calls, naked puts, credit spreads, etc. Our portfolio journal to kind of help us keep organized. It's not a big deal to be organized if you just got, if you're only trading a couple trades at a time, right? You probably know exactly what you did and when you did it. But if you've got a dozen trades or 50 trades that you've built over the last, 6 months or 6 weeks, can be a little bit daunting. So portfolio journal is going to be there as well. So you'll find them in here in the trade journals. You'll again find them in the drop down of the trade center here as well. You will also find the tackle trading playbook on the drop down of the trade center up there. This is where we're going to have all of our strategies and the rules for those strategies. We break our playbook down into 3 core areas based off of the option Greeks: Delta, Theta, and Vega. Our Delta is our directional playbook, right? I think the stock's going from 70 to 75 or from 55 to 50, right? Delta direction, if you will. That's of course going to include, long and short stock, buying call or put options, doing debit spreads, ratio spreads, diagonal spreads, basically movement-based strategies. Then our Theta playbook, that's our cash flow or time decay playbook. That's the cool thing about options, is we get to sell them and bring in that premium, right? So that's going to be things like covered calls, naked puts, credit spreads, horizontals, iron condors. And then lastly, the Vega or the volatility playbook. These are going to be where we're trading the expected volatility and not the expected movement, right? And what I mean by that is, think about, earnings season. It's always what I think about when I think about Vega trading. Some of these stocks have histories of making tremendous moves on their earnings, right? Both up and down, right? But there's no way I can know how company XYZ is going to do on this earnings report. I might have an opinion, but that's all that it'll ever be. I can't know, right? But maybe based off of the history that suggests it is going to move a lot one way or another, instead of flipping a coin and saying, well, hope it's up, and or hope it's down, I'll just build a trade that's going to profit as long as it moves a lot one way or the other. So these are going to be based off of the volatility or the expected volatility of the stock. That'll be straddles, strangles, etc. In all of these, there will be a video going over, what the strategy is, why we would choose the strategy, what our rules for the strategy are, what are we looking from a technical point of view, what are we looking at from options point of view, how much time are we buying or selling, how much delta are we buying or selling, so on and so forth. So you have a very good understanding of what the strategy is, why we might choose that strategy, and what those rules, or at least our rules for that strategy, are. There's also a little, downloadable PDF cheat sheet, so you can have easy access to the rules. So you don't have to, while you're getting to know the strategies, don't have to comb through the video, a dozen times. What option or what delta was I selling again? Things like that. You'll also notice that on all of them, there's something between a 0 and a plus or a -3. And this is just kind of where we see the strategy on the spectrum. If you kind of think about 0 as flat neutral, 1 or -1 would be slightly bullish or slightly bearish. 2 or -2 would be bullish or bearish, and then 3 or -3 would be very bullish or bearish. We always want to match the strategy to our read of things, right? So if I think company ABC is going to be real explosive on its breakout, and I want to take advantage of that, I probably want to do a more aggressive strategy. And maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong, but if that's how I'm reading the situation, I'm probably going to want a more aggressive strategy, right? Whereas maybe you look at the same breakout and say, well, I see what you're seeing there, I like it, but Frank, these guys don't move particularly fast. They're probably going to be a little grindy over the course of the quarter. You'd want to match your strategy to your read of the situation, right? And so that's kind of where we see these strategies along that spectrum, if you will, from 0 to 3 or -3. That's going to be the tackle trading playbook. Again, you'll find that directly here in the Trade Center. We're going to circle back before we're done. We'll look at the events calendar as we kind of go through our next phase. We're talking about our schedule. So we'll kind of come back to that here in just a moment. Let's talk about that schedule and kind of the things that you can do with other members of the community. And I guess I'll kind of start off with the Traders Lounge. Every market morning at 11 Eastern, we get together here at Tackle Trading in our Traders Lounge. We'll go for an hour, and it's really designed basically to answer our team's questions, whatever they might be. I mean, you might be just struggling with a particular strategy. maybe just can't quite wrap your head around that bull call spread. It's just a brand new strategy. You've never done it before. It would be helpful to kind of from top to bottom walk through an example in real time with somebody, right? Maybe you've got a technical setup that you really like. I really like this inverted head shoulders that I'm seeing here. What do what are some other people's thoughts, right? Are you guys seeing this the same way that I'm seeing it? Maybe you're struggling with managing. If you got a trade and want to bounce ideas from a management point of view, who knows? I mean, at the end of the day, we all have questions sometimes, right? And we do need to have a place where we can answer those, live and in person. That's exactly what we can do in our Traders Lounge, pretty much Monday through Friday, but more accurately every market morning. Which just happens to be almost every Monday through Friday, right? So Mondays, a few holidays here and there. This is going to be one of those shows that we don't record regularly because, to be quite honest, I mean, no one's going to go back in and watch one from a year ago, right? But it's not a big deal for us to hit the record button and get a little snippet and get it placed here directly into the link itself for that Traders Lounge. If your schedule is such as you just can't make it, maybe you're at work at 11 Eastern, Monday through Friday, but you have a question and could use some help, let us know. It's not a big deal. We're always happy to accommodate our team. So don't expect that this will be a regularly recorded show, but there definitely will be snippets that we do record. And again, if you just can't make it, but need some help, never hesitate to reach out. Never hesitate to ask. That's what we're here to do. So that's every single market day at 11 Eastern. That'll go for an hour. And then shortly after the lounge, we head over to our YouTube channel at 12:30 Eastern to do the halftime report. The tackle trading halftime report is a live look in at the market where we can kind of work that daily routine, take that top-down approach. So, what's going on in the broad market, what's moving it today, how is it impacting our charts, how does the S&P look versus the Dow versus the NASDAQ versus the Russell, right? How do the major commodities look? What's going on in gold? What's going on in crude? What's going on in Bitcoin, right? Stocks in the news, really just to kind of work through that daily routine with our community. Everybody's got to go through a daily routine, right? It doesn't matter who you are. If you're trading, you've got one. And this allows us to kind of work through that routine with other like-minded traders, which is always a lot of fun. That's live on YouTube, 12:30 p.m. Eastern. Of course, being on YouTube, once the live stream is over, it will immediately populate over to our channel. So every single market day, we'll be here at 11 for the Traders Lounge. Shortly thereafter, we'll be over on our YouTube channel for the halftime report. So we'll be working the markets with our team each and every trading day. Then we've got our evening shows on Mondays. We do this onboarding webinar, just welcoming new people to tackle trading, taking them through the side. Maybe folks are checking us out for the first time, want it before they're, want to decide if they want to try a free trial, see what we're bringing to the table. No two are tremendously different from one another. But if you ever, feel like you're a little bit lost or overwhelmed, it would be helpful. You're, of course, always welcome to catch a future one on Monday night. I would say our flagship show is on Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, and that's our coaches show. The coaches show is live. It is also recorded and archived. So if you can't make it, or if you need to rewatch it, or if you want to watch an episode from a month ago that was interesting to you, or whatever it might be, we certainly love to have you live, but schedules are schedules, right? The coaches show, once again, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. We're a couple days into the markets, right? So we can do a quick market skyline. Hey, is anything standing out? Any particular sector or industry looking really nice from a potential trading point of view? But what I really love about the coaches show, I mean, I like doing that stuff too, don't get me wrong. But what I really love about the coaches show is it allows us to take, one of the many topics that we can talk about in the market, right? I mean, there's a million things we could talk about, right? And really narrow it down to one, and let's have a good in-depth conversation on that thing. I mean, it might be something, is indicator based, like moving averages. It might be a particular technical pattern, trade and breakouts, right? Based off of, what's going on in the overall market, right? We always will do our best to keep it topical. It might be a particular strategy, right? Rolling long calls into bull calls, or who knows what else. It might be daily routine. It might be, a lot of different things. And that's what I love about it, is it allows us to, there's so many things to talk about in trading. And for the most part, most of them are pretty fun to talk about, right? But it allows us to narrow it down a little bit and have a real good focus each and every week. So that's the coaches show, Tuesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Live, and again, it's recorded and archived. On Thursdays, once again at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we do our cash flow club. That's going to be a little more narrowly focused, specifically on those cash flow option strategies, right? That's going to be our credit spreads. That's going to be our covered calls and our naked puts and those type of strategies. It's going to really allow us to talk about building, but also managing those type of trades, right? I think if you've been around, trading, very long at all, you quickly realize learning how to do a bull put credit spread is not really that hard. You just don't know it until you know it. But the management side, we got to learn some tricks there, right? We got to get some game plans going there. So the cash flow club really allows us to hit both, the building and the managing of those type of trades. That one, just like the coaches show, is recorded and archived, so you can join us later or whatever you need to do. So that is the cash flow club, Thursday nights at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. On Wednesdays, and for this I'm going to hop over into our events calendar. On Wednesday night, we've got a couple different things going on. Over here on our YouTube channel at 7 Eastern, we do our Trade Masters webinar. A couple of the coaches will get together with some trade ideas to bounce around with one another, with Coach Mark, who is typically the host, as well as members of our community. Just a place midweek to kind of share some ideas for some potential trades going into the second part of the week. That's always a lot of fun. It's always nice to bounce trade ideas around with other traders. At least I think so. So that's at 7 Eastern right here on our YouTube channel for our Trade Masters webinar. Shortly after at 8:30 Eastern, we're going to head over here to Tackle Trading for our night lounge, our Wednesday night lounge. This is where we can discuss in more detail any questions anybody might have had on any of the ideas that we did bounce around over in that Trade Masters webinar. As well as just answer any questions that you might have, right? Again, maybe your schedule is you just can never join the daily Traders Lounge because you're at work at 11 Eastern, but maybe you can hop in to a live showing on Wednesday night. So it's really designed to answer your questions. We'll certainly talk about some of the ideas that were presented in the Trade Masters webinar, but we can go well beyond that as well. So it's kind of a twofer here on Wednesday night. So 7 right here on YouTube, 7 Eastern for the Trade Masters, and then 8:30 Eastern over here at Tackle Trading for that nightly lounge. On Fridays, so I'm going to come back over here. There's a Mind of a Trader here, right? And that's really two different shows, so it's easiest to explain that here in the events calendar, which is kind of why I went when I did. So on Fridays, a little bit before the market closes, Coach Mark does his Mind of a Trader at the closing bell. Just, the market's about to wind down. We're going to the weekend, can bounce any ideas around with members of the community, answer any questions, make some last minute decisions. He also does the commodities report for us, so he can present that live to the team in there as well. So that's on Fridays at 1 Eastern. I think he's pushing it back as we're getting back to school to 1:30 Eastern. 1:30 Mountain, I'm sorry, 3 Eastern. But that's Fridays. And then on Sundays, he also does a weekend prep class Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern. Now we're a few hours into the futures open. So based off of kind of what's going on, is that changing anything? Is that maybe highlighting a particular area of the market going into the very early part of the trading week? Again, can answer questions that folks might be having, bounce ideas around with members of our team. That's the Sunday night Mind of a Trader. So if you're trying to get into, the Mind of Traders, or really any of the shows, to be quite honest, probably the easiest way to do is just come directly into this events calendar, click on the show that you want. That'll get you the information to take you to where that show is going on. So that's the Mind of a Trader on Friday afternoons, a little bit before the market closes, and on Sunday evenings. Again, there were a few, especially Monday holidays throughout the course of the year. So on those Monday type of holidays, typically the weekend prep class will jump from a Sunday night to a Monday night, right? But those luckily are fairly rare as far as that goes. We have a tremendous team of female traders with us here at Tackle Trading. They get together at about once a month. They had one just this last Friday, as a matter of fact. But they get together about once a month in their Women in Trading Mastermind group. Keep your eyes open for that. If you're a woman in trading, or if you know a woman in trading, I would definitely connect with the awesome gals of Tackle Trading. I don't, of course, know exactly what happens in the Women in Trading Mastermind group. I don't get to go, but I have no doubt. I know our team. I know how, what kind of people they are. I know what kind of traders they are. I'm certain that they're having a really good time and getting some really good work done in there. I just don't exactly know what that looks like, is all. We'll, of course, make sure to promote that. It tends to be towards the end of the month. But again, I'm a dude. I don't get to go. We'll make sure that we highlight it for all of our awesome ladies, though. I would definitely encourage you to connect with Coach M and the awesome ladies of Tackle Trading in that Women in Trading Mastermind group. Typically is towards the end of the month, and typically is on Fridays, it seems. So that's kind of what the schedule looks like. Kind of a very, maybe an overly simplistic way to look at it is the morning lounge, the daily lounge is really specifically your questions, right? That's where we can really focus on your individual questions. The halftime report is where we can really focus on the daily routine, and the evening shows where we can really focus on the teaching side of things. And that is certainly an overly simplified way to view it, because there's going to be some blend in pretty much all of them, right? But maybe that can kind of help keep them organized in your mind. And again, if you ever feel a little lost or not quite sure where to go, the events calendar here in the Trade Center is a great place to start. But never hesitate, if you have questions or anything like that, to send us an email to team@Tackle Trading. So that's kind of that schedule and what it's going to look like. So we're going to keep you, fairly busy. We certainly welcome and invite you to join us in all of our live shows, but we understand that you also have a life. And so, it's okay to catch the recording. It's okay if you can't make it, but do know you are welcome, in each and every one that we do. We'd love to have you live. So that's going to be that kind of second area. Now let's kind of shift gears a little bit and talk about that third area, and that's our weekend report. That's every Friday, pretty much after the halftime report. We kind of get together with as a group of coaches here at Tackle Trading. We talk market, sectors, commodities, currencies, trade setups that we're following. And out of that meeting comes our weekend reports. We refer to that meeting as the scouting report meeting. You'll oftentimes hear us say, hey, check the scouting reports. And when we say that, it pretty much encompasses all 5 of these reports. We've got our Tackle newsletter, our stock, options, commodity, and Forex report. So let's kind of start here with the newsletter, because again, we do take that top-down approach to trading here at Tackle Trading, where we're always going to work down, right? Start big and work small. Start with the market, work to sectors, work into your stocks. So here in the newsletter, that's exactly what we're doing. So we could talk about, hey, what happened in the market this past week, right? What are the storylines moving it? What's the temperature, so to speak? What are the storylines, right? All of that fun stuff. So what's going on overall in the market? What does the upcoming economic calendar look like going into the into next week? Of course, we'll have a video where we can kind of talk you through this stuff. Where are we on the markets, right? Whether it's the S&P, the Dow Jones, the NASDAQ, the Russell 2000, all the big ones, right? There's also the corresponding ETFs. I'm sure you probably are, but if you're not familiar, DIA tracks the Dow Jones. QQQ is the NASDAQ, IWM is the RUT, and SPY is the S&P 500. These are just ETFs that are designed to track these indexes. So if you wanted to trade the NASDAQ, we could trade the Qs, right? These are all, very liquid, got some plenty of options. So there's plenty of things that we can do with them. You'll find the new high versus new low. So basically, this is going to look at over 8,000 stocks on the exchanges and kind of see, hey, who's putting in new highs? How many are putting in new highs versus new lows, right? To get a better view of the internals of the market. A lot of times when we look at something like the S&P 500, for example, these are market cap weighted, and the guys at the top, the Apples, the Amazons, right? Those big names at the top are just huge, right? So it can mask a little bit sometimes. So this is just going to look at the overall market, looking at over 8,000 stocks to kind of see where they're, who's making highs, who's making lows. The seasonality chart, just from a historical point of view, what tends to happen in the market during this time of year. We're hanging out in August, getting towards the tail end of the summer now. Historically speaking, August is fairly uneventful, a little back and forth, a little choppy, but doesn't really go anywhere. I wish it was as simple as it meant that that'll be how it plays out this August, right? But that's of course historical data. But as long as we don't overvalue it, there's definitely, at least in my mind, value to understanding how the market tends to perform at any given point in time. As we get into the fourth quarter, historically that's where the party's at, right? From a bullish point of view, at least. So if I'm seeing that reflected in the market and the charts I'm looking at, that's going to help kind of add a little bit. Okay, yeah, that's kind of normal, right? It's not always the way it plays out. I think back in 18 it was basically just the opposite of that. But last year, I mean, look at the S&P, it looks almost identical to this chart, right? Same with the sectors. What sectors tend to perform best each month in the market? Best being a relative term, right? The best might be up, 8%, and the worst might be up 2%. The best might be up 3%, the worst might be down 5%, right? So it's all relative. But what sectors tend to stand out each month? You'll find our rankings for the sectors as well. We're going to put them on this football field, as you can kind of see here. Each week, we're going to rank the sectors based off of what we're seeing on the components that make up these sector spider ETFs. So we're taking a closer look, at the actual internals of these different sectors. And based off of what we're seeing within these charts is how we're going to come up with our rankings. We're going to put it on a football field. If we kind of maybe piggyback a little bit off of kind of what we talked about in the playbook with the 0 to 3, 0 to -3, that's going to be kind of the view, but it's going to be very, 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 very rare that we as a community, and certainly me as an individual, I don't think it's ever happened for me as an individual, but really us as a community of coaches here, it's really unlikely that you're going to see us put healthcare in the ±3 territory. It's really hard to put an entire sector in that aggressive of a ranking. It really is not who we are at Tackle Trading. You never say never, but it's really going to be unlikely that you ever see us being that aggressive one way or the other on the whole market or an entire sector. An individual stock, absolutely, right? A breakout on TMO or whatever, yeah, I might love it at a +3. If there was a +4, I'd probably put it there, right? But from a broader perspective, just very, very difficult to do it. It's really not who we are. Each week we're going to move these based off what we're seeing on the charts, and again we can kind of talk you through in that video so you have a better idea. And if you kind of think about it, these things are going to move over time, right? So they're going to kind of, as you think about it like a story, right? And as weeks go by, it'll start to be probably more and more and more comfortable as you understand that. We're going to break the sectors down into 3 different areas. We've got our growth areas. That's going to be technology, communications, and discretionary. That's what we have classified in the growth areas. Our cyclical areas, that's going to be financials, industrials, energy, and basic materials. And then the defensive sectors, healthcare, staples, real estate, and utilities. So, and that's kind of, you can kind of see they're kind of lumped together, so you have a better idea where they fit with one another as well. So we can talk you through that ranking each week in the video, also talk about it in the halftime report a lot throughout the course of the week, but certainly on Monday. Again, here are the Sector Spider ETFs. If you aren't familiar with them, they're called the Sector Spiders. Their website is just sectorspdr.com. That's the website to the ETF provider. What these ETFs do is they will go into the S&P 500 and pull out stocks by sector. So XLV, for example, is the healthcare sector ETF. We go into the S&P, we pull out just the stocks that are classified as healthcare. We put them into a portfolio. That's what we're looking at here. Because the S&P 500 is weighted by market cap, so are these, right? So, for example, XLC, the communications ETF, that's got Google, that's got Facebook, right? Those things are enormous, and there's 2 different class shares of Google. So it's very, I guess in some ways you could say Google and Facebook are very overrepresented in that ETF. In other ways, you just say, hey, as long as I know that's what it is what it is, right? It's fine. It's just important to note. To that end, there's going to be a little bit of a write-up talking about how that market cap is on these different sector ETFs. You have a better idea, but there is, you can take a, as deep a dive as you'd like to at the at the ETF provider's website as well. Quick reminder to match the strategy to the situation, right? It sounds silly, but I think we've all done it, right? Where bought a call option on a really slow moving stock or something like that, and just think you just got gobbled up by time decay, and you ended up reaching your target, but it ended up taking a while, and you're like, I should have just traded a different way. I should have done this a covered call, or should have done a debit spread, or I should have sold a bull put or something. So it's easy to forget sometimes. So just a friendly reminder to match that strategy to your trade. There's going to be a pre-built scanner in here as well. So if any particular area of the market has caught your attention, you want to just take a quick look at stocks within that space. So for example, say you like industrials here for whatever your reasons are, this will bring you to a pre-built scanner. We'll just smack this charts button right here. These are what I call trader-friendly stocks, and all I mean when I say that is they've got plenty of liquidity, so it's very easy to trade shares of the companies. They are optionable. The vast majority of them have weekly options. Just because something has options on it doesn't mean those options are particularly appealing to trade. So we do want to make sure we're double checking that liquidity on the options. I'd say as a whole that the things in here are pretty option friendly. Certainly there are plenty though that the stock could be real comfortable, but the option liquidity is just not there. And if you've ever been stuck in an illiquid option, you don't need me to tell you it's not any fun. But whether it's through shares or through options, if I find something in here that I like, I'm going to be able to put together a trade on it, right? And that's what I mean when I say trader friendly. This is just going to give us, as you can kind of see here, some side-by-side charts, so I can kind of scroll through, see if anything has caught my attention. Maybe you like the bounce back day on John Deere, right? It had a pretty decent earnings report, but still sold off pretty heavily last week into a little bit of a trend line here. Obviously, I couldn't make a trade off of this little chart, right? But I can, maybe it's worth taking a closer look at in an actual trading platform, if you will. Or maybe you like the upward movement that we started to see here on ADP as it's kind of come through here. Or maybe you're looking at CAT as a potential breakdown candidate, right? Support, hanging by a thread. It looks like maybe that support will hold, but maybe it will give out. So just an easy way to look at a lot of charts very, very quickly. If anything catches your attention, just click on it. That'll give you a little bit more chart to work with, as well as a lot of information about the company itself. Again, I probably wouldn't try to build a trade off of this thing, but it is a little easier to see, right, than the bird's eye view on that first page. If you do come in here, just make sure you go back to screener when you're done, and that will take you right back to that screener page. So just an easy way to roll through a lot of charts in a particular area very quickly to see if anything catches your eye and is worth taking a closer look at. That will be for each of the different sectors as well. So that is the Tackle newsletter. That is really starting at the top of the market. And in my opinion, at least, that's where we should all start, regardless of where we differ, what we like to trade, what kind of style of traders we are. I think we want to take that top-down approach. I think we'll be better traders for it. Then we have our different reports in the different areas are kind of be focused on what their name would suggest. Coach Cody does the Forex report for us, does a great job, highlighting the technical situation on the major pairs, talking about upcoming economic events that can impact those currencies, does a lot of teaching in there as well. So he does a lot of, he's helped a lot of Team Tackle members take those first steps into trading Forex. He does a great job of explaining what's going on over there. I honestly believe even if you never do anything other than listen to the Forex report for 20 minutes a week, 6 months from now, you'll be shocked how much you know about Forex. He does a great job over there each week. Coach Mark does our commodity report for us. He's going to talk about the technicals, the fundamentals, as well as the themes and storylines that are moving these different commodities, right? Whether it's gold or copper or crude or whatever it might be. Even if you don't trade over in the futures market where we're seeing these products trade, there are a lot of things that you can do through the equities market to take advantage of movements or lack thereof. A lot of times some of these commodities can go fairly sideways for a really long time, which opens up the door for some really great cash flowing opportunities in my mind, at least. And I know Mark's as well. Things like gold ETF, right? GLD tracks, is designed to track gold, right? And mimic the price of the gold futures. Gold mining stocks, right? Gold mining, companies, proxies like FCX, that kind of rolls with copper, right? Because there's not really a great liquid, ETF for copper as of yet, at least that I'm comfortable with. So there's going to be a lot of things that we can do through the stock, ETF, and option market to take advantage of commodities. So even if I'm not interested in futures, fair enough. Don't discount the commodity report though, because there's great things that we can do outside of that futures market as well. Our stock and option report are going to be built fairly close to one another as far as how they're built. Now, as we get into them, no surprise, the stock report's going to focus more on stock trade ideas and the options more on option trade ideas. But as far as what we're doing, each week we want to make sure, as I mentioned earlier, we're watch list traders here. So we're going to, have, trade candidates ready to take action on if we get whatever it is that we need to see, right? And that's going to be true whether I'm trading stock or options. Nobody cares about the vehicle I'm choosing to trade but me, right? I'm the only one who cares that I'm buying a call instead of buying shares or doing a bull call. I mean, I might care a lot, right? But I'm the only one who does. So they're going to be built technically the same way, right? So each week we're going to have some potential bullish trade setups as well as some potential bearish trade setups to share with our team. Where it's going to differ is in the stock report, we're going to talk more about, really kind of the pure mechanics of trading as far as, support, resistance, stop loss, that really can focus on the technicals because stock is the vehicle that we're coming at it with, right? Whereas in the options report, while the technicals are every bit as important, we're going to spend a lot more time in there, talking strategy selection, right? This would be an interesting opportunity for a poor boy covered call. This would be an interesting opportunity because of that volatility to sell a naked put, right? So we're going to talk a little bit more about, strategy selection in the option report than we, would in the stock report, obviously, right? So they are going to be built very similar. There's a little gray area. If there's something in the stock report that you like, but you'd prefer to trade options on it, I mean, you can always go look and check the option chain, check the option liquidity, see if you're comfortable with it, right? And if you are, have at it, right? The reason it is in the stock report might be because the option liquidity isn't great for whatever reason. And so that's kind of the way that you can approach it. Well, conversely, if it's in the options report, I mean, it's going to be real easy to trade shares of the stock if that's the route that you want to go. We want to make sure you have some trade ideas. So in the video, we're always going to take a little opportunity to do a little bit of teaching as well. Coach, Greg this week talked a little bit about, managing your emotions and your fears. We saw some selling early last week that kind of scared some people, right? And hopefully it didn't scare them too much because if it did, they missed out on some pretty good opportunities to close the week going into here today, right? So we'll do a little bit of teaching over there, talk you through these setups, kind of some ideas, stuff like that. It's always a lot of fun. We don't expect that you're going to like every one of these. You might, and that's great. You might not, and that's fine too. We just want to make sure that every member of our team has some quality technical candidates for their watch list each and every week. And if you don't like BTU because you say, Frank, I don't want to trade coal. Fair enough. It's your trade. You don't have to tell me why you don't want to trade something by any stretch, but we want to make sure that you have some good trade setups, no matter where it is you're trading, whether you're trading just stock, options, futures, Forex, whatever it might be. We want to make sure you have some actionable ideas each and every week. This trading view watch list that's built in, you've seen this, these watch lists built into several pages here. This is just, the trading view charts here. Just a couple of things in here. If we're kind of looking at this, we're saying, let's, kind of go through, see if there's anything like, maybe we like this Amcor here that, had a pretty good size pullback in an upward trend, starting to show some upward move. Maybe we want to do a little prepping on this guy here, right? So we'll use them as our example tonight. This widget button right here, if you just left click it, that'll hide the watch list, give you a little more chart to work with. Hit it again, it'll bring the watch list back for you. So you have a little more chart to work with. If we want to add any indicators, that's right up here in the indicators button. As a note, these are not going to save. So if you are putting a bunch on there, that's fine. But do be aware that when you leave this page and come back later, all of the changes you've made to the chart will be gone. So typically, the only thing I like to add is the ATR myself, but that is just me. If I've added an indicator and I need, look how much room that thing takes, right? I don't need that. Just hold your mouse over the kind of barrier between the volume and the indicator, hold the left mouse button down, and you can either zoom it up, or in this case, we're just going to zoom it down here. I don't need it to be very big, but you can get it to the size that you would like to do. If you, for whatever reason, prefer bar charts, most traders nowadays are candlestick traders, but I still know a couple bar chart traders myself. So I'm not one of them, but to each their own. You can switch it over there into bar charts if you are one of those, one of the folks that still like the bar charts, or if they're just easier for you to process. It's set up on a daily chart by default, but there might come times where we want to go intraday. Whether that's an hourly chart, a 15-minute chart, a 5-minute chart. We might want to go longer term, right? Let's look at these guys on a weekly, see, how they look from a weekly point of view, right? Or from a monthly point of view. So there, you can change your time frames very, very easily in here as well. Your trend line tool is this one right here. A little arrow out. There's our trend line. So if I wanted to kind of draw my trend line there, I can do that. If I want to draw, horizontal support or resistance, I can kind of do that. So when I look at this chart, I kind of say, okay, well, we've got the trend line as well as the old resistance acting as new support. So I see, a support zone around here at that 24. That's kind of, how I see it, at least. So your trend line tools, again, will be in there. If you don't need them, want to get rid of them, you can just left click and throw it in the trash. That'll get rid of that for you there. This guy right here is where we can actually kind of prep our trade a little bit, our prediction and measurement tools. We can do it for a long or a short position. This is obviously a long position, so we'll go with that. So let's say I want to get in above today's high, right? So that's my entry, right? This last high here, as we saw when we looked at that weekly chart, that last high is our high, right? That is our all-time high. So maybe that's what I got in mind for a target or for a first target. Maybe we've got, two target. My first target's a resistance. My next target's at $30 or whatever it might be. So I can kind of get it to where my target would be. And I can say, well, I'd like to put my stop loss below last week's low. That's what I like to do. That's going to be below that trend line that I kind of hastily drew, this old resistance, the obviously low point, right? I know for a fact buyers did step in at that low on Thursday because I've seen upward movement ever since. I can take a look at this trade, and if this is the trade, if this is what I'm trying to accomplish, for every dollar that I'm risking, I have $1.02 in potential profit, right? Just like most swing traders, I require a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. That's fine if that's my first target, but maybe my second target was at $30. And let's see if that's going to still work. Yep, that's going to put me at just over $2.16 for every dollar I'm risking. So if my trade was my first target up here at resistance at 27.70, we'll call it, my second target at $30, this trade from a risk to reward point of view could work, right? If you're looking at this saying, Frank, I'm not going to ask this thing to break its all-time high. That's all I'm trying to do is get back up to that resistance level. Well, we know what your risk to reward is. That's up to you to decide, right? And you say, well, I'm not going to do that, but let's take a closer look. Maybe I can, use today's low for a stop loss instead. How would that change it? I'm risking about $1 for $1.81. Maybe I want to go intraday. Let's go see if we can do anything on the intraday for a stop loss, right? And now I'm intraday. I might need a little more chart, so I'm just going to zoom my mouse wheel. That's what I'm doing here. So I wiggle the chart around. I'm going to come up here into the numbers and hold my left mouse button down, and I can do this, so I can get a little more room to work. I don't really see any great, intraday support here, but that's just me. Maybe you like this one, or maybe you say, hey, look, Frank, we've got this little 3-candle base here to close the day out. I'll put my stop loss there. Maybe I don't like that, but that's your trade, right? So I can really prep out the trade as much as I need to here. It's going to save me a lot of time on doing math, right? It's going to just help me visualize it. Can I see this? Does this feel too tight for a stop? Does this feel too aggressive for a target? Right, so on and so forth. So Very, very helpful tool. It saved me countless hours over my life. I always like to highlight this one a little bit because of that. It saved me a ton of time having to painstakingly think about the risk to reward over and over. So again, that's right here in this one right here. You'll have that for both the long and bearish trades as well. There's a lot of other things that you can do with these watch lists, but those are some of the big ones, hopefully to help you out a little bit, because at least a little bit you're going to be using these charts, right? I mean, I imagine you're still going to be doing most of your work on whatever trading platform it is that you use, but the first time you watch the stock report, you're going to look at this list, right? That's built into it. And so having a little bit more of an understanding about some of the capabilities of this charting platform is helpful, I think. So hopefully that gives you some pretty good ideas on that end. You can expect all of the reports by Saturday afternoon, so you have plenty of time to get through any or all of them before the market gets back up and running. Don't be afraid to prioritize, right? Better to do a good job with 2 than a bad job with 5, right? If you're not a Forex trader, okay, well, probably not the top thing to do on a Sunday, right? But maybe listen into it on a Thursday. Why not, right? What's the worst that can happen? You're not taking any trades in there, so you don't need to hurry and do it, right? But maybe you can learn a little bit about Forex on, at the end of the week on Thursdays. So definitely, a lot of ways, whether it's the courses, the shows, the reports, all of the above, really, in a lot of ways, you can build your own tackle trading. We do a lot of content. We'd always rather over deliver than under deliver. That's for sure. We've always but we understand everybody's different, and don't be afraid to build your own tackle trading based off of where you are in this process, what you like to trade, what you're comfortable trading, what your schedule looks like, all of that fun stuff. A few other things here to highlight before I let you get out of here. We have our clubhouse. That's kind of our own personal social media, for lack of a better way to describe it. Just a place where members of the team can get in and ask questions or bounce ideas around with one another. It's just us. It's just trading. Certainly invite you to join us over in the clubhouse. We're also active on the more traditional social medias as well. We do a lot of live stuff on our YouTube, most notably the halftime report, the Trade Masters webinar, this webinar. But we have a lot of other video content over there as well, a lot of how-tos, walkthroughs, thinkorswim tutorials, and we're always looking to add more. So certainly invite you to join us over on YouTube and do the whole subscribe and notification thing. We've got a presence over on Instagram and LinkedIn, Facebook. We've got a Facebook group for those of you who do like to do the Facebook thing. I'm not a Facebook guy, but a lot of people do like Facebook. We do have a tackle trading Facebook group that you're more than welcome to come in and take part of. I'm more of a Twitter dude myself. It's an easy way to share, interesting charts, to, communicate with the team, what's going on there at Tackle Trading. So, if you're using any of these social media platforms, I certainly invite you to join us. Love to have you over there. If you come to Twitter, it'd be great to have you over there. Always room for another trader in my life, as far as that goes. About a month ago, we launched what we call our trading labs. We have 3 different trading labs. Coach Mark, Coach Emily, and Coach Tyler each do a trading lab. They are premium product. They get together with their team each week, as well as stay connected to them in a private Discord throughout the week. If you'd like a little more information, I've heard really good feedback on all of the trading labs. I'm not surprised to hear that. I'm sure they're I was sure they were going to be a lot of fun for traders. But if you'd like a little more information, you can just go into that trading lab links, or once again, never hesitate to send us an email to team@tackletrading.com for whatever reason. If you have some questions, whatever it might be, don't hesitate to let us know. It is our job to answer them for you, and we're more than happy to do so. But definitely worth taking at least considering, in my opinion. Ladies and gentlemen, I think that will cover everything that I wanted to hit here tonight. But I do hope that it gave you a better idea of who we are at Tackle Trading, what we're doing, when we're doing it, kind of our approach. I know it's hard to do all in just in an hour or whatever, but I do hope it gave you a better understanding of where you can find all of this stuff. And I certainly welcome you to Tackle Trading. If you've just joined us as a new team member, welcome. It's great to have you. I have no doubt I'll be seeing you around, whether it's the clubhouse, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. I'm sure we'll be running into each other, and it's great to have you. If you're just checking us out, seeing what we're about, I appreciate you as well. Thank you for taking the time to take a look at us. We do have a standing offer of a free 15-day trial in the description of any of our YouTube videos. Be happy to let you give it a go on the back end, see if you feel like it's a good fit. No, without any commitment. So that offer is always on the table. It's great to have you here at Team Tackle. Like I said, for me, there's always room for one more trader in my life. And so thank you so much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. I'll let you get out of here. Thank you once again, those of you who catch the recording a little later in the week. Hope it was helpful. Get out of here. Have a great rest of your evening. Have a great week, both in and out of the market. Most importantly, welcome to Tackle Trading. Good night, everyone.